Aloha, gals and pals. It's your boy Vino, and today we are talking Tiki. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Even with over 15 years in the cocktail biz, Tiki has never really been my strong suit. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Tiki. As a matter of fact, I've made a bunch of delicious Tiki cocktails on this channel, and I'll put a link down in the description for you guys to check those out. But the reality is that Vino has always been more of a classic stirred cocktail kind of guy. But that did get me thinking. I don't know too much about Tiki history. And I wonder, are there any stirred Tiki cocktails?
Well, Vino, if you're trying to conjure up a mental image of a stirred Tiki menu, there's actually a variety of classics that you can choose from, such as the corn and oil from the 1700s, which consists of blackstrap rum and tropical spices like falernum, or maybe the national drink of Martinique, the tea punch, which actually predates the daiquiri by over a century. You could also bring swizzles into this category since technically they are a stirred drink with ice, which opens up a whole variety of cornerstone classics from the 1940s, such as the 151 Swizzle, the Queen's Park Swizzle, which is having a bit of a resurgence right now, or even the super classic Bermuda Rum Swizzle from the 1930s. But I know how much you like your Manhattans, so maybe you like to kick back with a Cuban super classic, the El Presidente from the 1900s, which consists of orange curacao, white rum, a splash of grenadine, and dry vermouth. But wait, if a rum cocktail doesn't contain any tropical juices, is it a tropical cocktail or just a rum cocktail? Does adding tropical rum to a drink without any juices make it a tropical drink? You may need to consult with another tropical cocktail rum enthusiast just to see if we can't sort this whole thing out.
And I think I know just the gal to ask.
Hi there, Vino and Vino's audience. Thank you for including me today and asking my thoughts on what makes Tiki, Tiki for me. Very interesting question because it really made me think about Tiki in general. Tiki is much more broad than people realize. And by that, I mean it's an escape. It's an experience. It's much more than just a fun cocktail. It's nostalgia for the past, starting from Prohibition on and then moving forward after World War II. Tiki can be classic, like tiki carvings. For instance, did you know that Tiki is called Tiki because the first human in Maori mythology was called Tiki, and that's where we get that traditional Tiki carving from. Tiki grew a lot in the 40s and 50s, or the mid-century modern era after World War II. I tend to follow the mid-century modern era and that way of Tiki the most. That was the era of having fun after World War II ended. These days, it can be rockabilly, nautical. Some would even say Star Wars and the Golden Girl sneaks in there every now and then. But really, it's an expression of art. It's about fun, nostalgia, and you just happen to get a great cocktail in there as well. Harry Yee, who just recently passed at the ripe age of 104, was the first bartender in Hawaii to put an umbrella in his cocktail, and that cocktail was called the Tropical Itch. It also came with a back scratcher in it. This is really when garnish became king and Tiki cocktails were dubbed umbrella drinks. But Tiki cocktails want for the most part to be as over the top with fun garnish as possible. Things like cinnamon sticks, pineapple fronds, and pineapple pieces, cocktail umbrellas, orchids, and lighting them up, of course. Fun mugs, great glassware, all a part of it. Once again, it's all about the experience. But for the Tiki cocktail itself, it most often has juices like lime, lemon, pineapple, and orange, possibly more than one or even all of them in a drink. Syrups, possibly more than one again, and rum, of course. A Tiki cocktail doesn't have to contain rum all the time, but as you guessed, there are more rum Tiki cocktails than not, and oftentimes with a couple of different types of rum in them. So I found today's cocktail in the Sippin' Safari book, and it's called the Kamehameha Rum Punch. I'm going to try it for you now. It's so good, really super fruity. This cocktail was created at the Hotel King Kamehameha in Kona, Hawaii in the 1960s. It follows a very classic Tiki flavor profile, sweet, a little tart, rich, and full of bold flavor. We use a couple different rums, a couple different syrups, and a liqueur in this cocktail. I'm going to show you the ingredients and how to make it coming up next. All right, so the original recipe for the 1960s cocktail starts with a teaspoon or a bar spoon of simple syrup. I do find sometimes that these vintage tiki cocktails might not always be balanced. They can be very tart for sure. But what's fun about finding these recipes again is that they can be reworked since we have more options of syrups and different rums now. So we can sort of rebalance them. So I really felt like the bar spoon of simple syrup was not enough. It just was a little too tart for me and my tastes. So I'm subbing a 1/4 ounce of Demerara simple syrup. And put that in the bottom. You can certainly start off with a bar spoon of Demerara or a bar spoon of simple syrup, because you can always add more, of course. But we're gonna build this in the glass here. It actually says that we're gonna stir this one. So next is a bar spoon of grenadine. I do have a video on how to make this grenadine. Of course, I know that Vino likes Liber & Co. I have used small hands as well. They're both really great, but it does make a huge difference in these cocktails. It's so easy to make this grenadine, and it's completely different than the watery roses grenadine. So 1 bar spoon of Blackberry brandy. I just happen to have some of my husband's Blackberry brandy that he made this fall. It's so good. It's really rich and fruity, and it adds a lot to this cocktail. But be careful with Blackberry brandy because it can be very sweet and it can taste a little bit like cough syrup. So try and get a really good quality one if you can. Next up is a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice. Then we got 2 ounces of pineapple juice. Now we're using 1 ounce of a Puerto Rican white rum. Now I'm using Real McCoy. In the Sippin' Safari book, it does say use a Puerto Rican white rum. On the Totally Tiki app, it just says a light rum. I have tried this with Havana Club. I've tried it with Florida Canyon Extra Dry and Plantation 3-Star. I really liked Real McCoy best, and then the Plantation 3-Star second, but use what you have and see how you like it. Now I'm gonna add some ice and swizzle this a little bit. I'm gonna swizzle this with my bar spoon. My Surfside Sips swizzle stick doesn't fit to the bottom of this glass, and I really wanna get it incorporated. And this actually says stir it, so I'm gonna do that a little bit and swizzle it a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit more ice to the top. Then I'm gonna float 1 ounce of dark Jamaican rum over the top. I ran out of Appleton 12-year and I don't have Hamilton Pot Still Black Rum, but I do think those would probably be better in this cocktail. You could use OFTD if you wanted to, but I'm using Karuba and it gives it a good effect, and I actually like the cocktail better without that float on the top, but it's totally up to you. I'm gonna add just a little bit more ice. And let's get our garnish in here. Of course, garnishing a tiki cocktail is king, so I made this little King Kamehameha pineapple garnish, and it has a little blackberry on top. If you want to use a cherry, doesn't really matter. I'm gonna see if I can balance it here. I'm gonna get some palm fronds in there as well. A little Surfside Sip straw. Can I fit an umbrella? Let's go with a yellow one, why not? There you have the Kamehameha Rum Punch. Thanks again, Vino, for asking me what makes a tiki cocktail tiki to me, or what makes tiki tiki to me. I always love being on your channel. Thank you to all of your subscribers and viewers for spending time with me today and learning from me today instead. Cheers and be well.
And thank you so much for your help on the matter. And I gotta tell you something, that is one delicious looking stirred tiki cocktail, but I think our buddy David might want to add something to the mix.
So all this talk about tiki history and stirred cocktails has got me, of course, thinking about not just the classic recipes, but also the modern landscape of stirred tiki as well. One that stands out in particular is a simple recipe with complex ingredients called 3 Mile Island, created by the incomparable Sam Miller, who's the current manager of Pagan Idol in San Francisco. And speaking of all this tiki history, this cocktail actually uses one of Don the Beachcomber's credos, what one rum can't do, 3 rums can, by creating a special blend of Barbados rums, real McCoy in this case, consisting of 1 part 3-year, 2 parts 5-year, and 2 parts 12-year. In addition, it uses a very unique spiced Blackstrap molasses syrup, which is a bit complex to construct to say the least, but has a very rich, deep flavor. It's made up of 300 grams Blackstrap molasses, 100 grams Demerara sugar, 25 grams cinnamon, 10 grams star anise, 10 grams clove, 10 grams cardamom, and 10 grams coriander. Also add 1.5 cups or 350 milliliters of water as you simmer. So now, with all these ingredients prepped, the recipe itself consists of the spiced Blackstrap molasses syrup, that special 3-rum Barbados blend, Benedictine, and Tiki bitters. All right, let's get our mixing glass, because it's stirred, not shaken. 2 1/4 ounce of our special Barbados Rum Blend, 1/2 ounce of Benedictine, 1/2 ounce of that spiced Blackstrap molasses syrup. Molassesy. Smells amazing. And finally, 2 dashes of Tiki bitters. We're using El Macule bitters. Now we're going to add a couple ice cubes to dilute and chill the drink as we stir. Stir for about 15 seconds. Also just looks cool. Now, part of Sam Miller's idea with this cocktail is to smoke a dried orange and a bit of dark chocolate into an old-fashioned glass to impart a bit of citrus and smokiness into the glass. Now, normally you do this with a kitchen torch, but we're going to do the best we can with our makeshift setup here. Be extra careful when trying this at home. All right, we've got our special smoked glass. Let's add a large ice cube. And now, just strain it in. All right, well, there it is, the 3 Mile Island. Let's see how this turned out. Ooh, got that smoke on the nose. Yeah, that smokiness really pairs well with the molasses. Like most simple drinks, you can sort of pick out each individual flavor in there. You get the herbaceousness of the Benedictine, that deep sweetness of the molasses, and a bit of that bitterness of the Barbados blend, and you can even kind of taste the Tiki bitters in there. It's super well-rounded and really deep flavor. So there you go, a modern stirred Tiki cocktail that Don the Beachcomber would be proud of with that 3-rum blend and that molasses flavor which harkens back to classic Jamaican rum style recipes. Thanks so much, Vino, for having me on, and now back to you.
Thank you, David, for a delicious looking stirred Tiki cocktail. I gotta tell you, that one looks like it was a whole lot of work, and I appreciate you making it for Vino's channel. Now, I think I've learned enough from these 2 amazing Tiki enthusiasts to finally go ahead and make my own stirred Tiki cocktail. So make sure you stick around, because we're gonna boogie down. Okay, so the stirred Tiki cocktail that I decided to go with is called the Junior Colada from the Easy Tiki cocktail book. And this cocktail was invented by David Perez of Lay Low in Houston, Texas. Now, the reason I went with this particular stirred Tiki cocktail is because I'm Puerto Rican and the Pina Colada was created in Puerto Rico, and this is a Tiki-fied riff on the Pina Colada. So it was a slam dunk that I would go ahead and try this one, okay? Now, before we go ahead and look at what is in the sauce, I want to let you guys know that we built this right into our glass, and I've got my beautiful glass Tiki glass, or Tiki mug, whatever you want to call it here, okay? So let us look at what is in the sauce. The first thing you're gonna need is 1 ounce of plantation pineapple rum, okay? If you're a rum guy or someone who loves, you know, tropical cocktails, this is definitely one of those rums you want to have in your collection. It's a fun rum to play with, right? The next thing you're gonna want is 1/2 ounce of a coconut rum liqueur. Now, I strongly recommend you don't use something like Malibu. It's gonna be really, really sweet. So you want something with a higher ABV. I love Shipwreck coconut rum liqueur, and this one is, I believe, 36% ABV, so it's really high ABV for a coconut liqueur, okay? So we're gonna do 1/2 ounce of our coconut rum liqueur, all right? And the next thing you're gonna want is 1 ounce of pineapple juice, all right? Or would it be tiki if it didn't have juice, right? I mean, I guess not, as David showed us. All right, there we go. And then we're gonna do 3/4 ounce of lime juice. All right. And then all we're gonna do is take ours, you know, if you got a swizzle stick or if you wanna use your bar spoon, we're just gonna stir that in here. Now we're gonna go ahead and now that we stirred it up, we're gonna go ahead and add some crushed ice to the cocktail. All right, we're just gonna fill this thing all the way up to the top. All right, so I filled it up to the top with some crushed ice. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add my coconut soda. All right, so I'm using Coco Rico, which is a classic coconut soda that us Puerto Ricans absolutely love, so this is fun to use. Matter of fact, I think it used to be made in Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken. Is it made in the Bronx? There you go, which is basically little Puerto Rico. All right, so then I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna top it off just a little bit more with some crushed ice, all right? I've always liked the idea of the crushed ice kind of piled up, spilling over. It's always made for a nice aesthetic, all right? There we go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and garnish that with I'm gonna squeeze in a little dehydrated pineapple over here. All right, there we go. And then I'm gonna do a little pineapple frond in the back of that. And then just to top things off, just to pina colada it up, I'm gonna go ahead and garnish that with a cocktail cherry. But I'm gonna be using a maraschino cherry here, 'cause I'm not a big fan of the old neon cherries. Here we go. Just spear that there. And there we have it, folks, our Junior Colada cocktail. All right, so let's go ahead and give this Junior Colada stirred tiki cocktail a sippy sip. Cheers. Oh, that's nice. That's so nice. Let me tell you something. It has been quite some time since Vino had a tropical cocktail or a tiki cocktail, but with spring only a couple of weeks away, I gotta tell you, this is hitting the spot and a great way to start off the warmer weather that's coming very, very soon. It's a very easy drinking cocktail. You know, you get your delicious pineapple flavors, you get the coconut from the coconut rum and also the Coco Rico. You know, it's a sweeter but very bright and refreshing cocktail. Definitely something I can see myself drinking again. You know, I'm very happy I made the decision to make this cocktail, and hopefully you guys will too. All right, folks, look, if you like this video, please make sure you check out my pals and the home bartender and David from Cocktail Fridays. They are both two amazing tiki enthusiasts with great videos and great cocktails on their channel. So go ahead and make sure you check those out. But while you're here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share this video with your family and friends. And remember, when life gives you lemons, you make yourself a cocktail. Cheers.